Welcome back to How to Be a Better DM, the official podcast of Monsters.rent. I'm Justin Lewis.
And I'm Tanner Wayland.
And we are here to help you tell better stories for yourself and your players as you dungeon master sessions of D&D, Dungeons & Dragons. We'd like to give you some quick announcements. We actually have one before the show, and then after the show, if you want to stick around, we have some more announcements then as well. But first, let's talk about this. Tired of being alone? Are you tired of not having any of your players understand you? Are you tired of never truly belonging? Well, you're in luck. All you need to do is join the Guild. The Guild is a unique and exclusive experience that is only open to Dungeon Masters. It is a full community focused on helping ease your DMing burdens. Want to meet other DMs? Join the Guild. Want to discuss your homebrew ideas with people who would appreciate it instead of just telling your cat? Join the Guild. Want to find a place where all your wildest dreams will come true? Join the Guild. Go to monsters.rent/guild and sign up today for free. Wait, that can't be right. Chuck, can you check this again? Is this supposed to be... What? Oh, they're serious? It's free? Oh, okay. All right. Yes, go to monsters.rent/guild and sign up today for free, even though they are crazy for giving this away for free. Common side effects may include burping, sneezing, laughing, breathing, hearing, listening, tasting, farting, critting, sarcasm, and in extreme cases, explosive diarrhea. Awesome. With that out of the way, we can get into today's show. You awake in the log cabin in which you'd taken shelter the night before. You look around at the warm, crackling fire in the giant hearth. The large white bear that led you to the cabin lies at the foot of the hearth. You and your companions slowly awake. You look around and you notice one figure not of your company, sitting at the large oak table in the corner. His feet are up and he sits smoking a slender pipe. You stand and draw your sword. Shh! Who are you? You ask. Well, that's a fine hello to someone who was gracious enough not to kill you in your sleep while you sleep in his bed, the man retorts. You pause, and then you stow your blade. Shh. That's more like it, the man says as he snuffs his pipe. He stands. Welcome to my cabin. I am Lord Gelick Grayson of the Kingdom of the Golden Deer, but you may call me Judir Fiendirsen. I am your adopted uncle. What do you do? Welcome back to the 15th episode of How to Be a Better DM. Together, we will discuss tips for how to create more immersive stories for you and your friends as you dungeon master a nice session of Dungeons & Dragons 5e. As always, I'm excited to hop into today's show, but before we do that, I have one quick announcement. I'm working on getting new team members for the show, and it's looking pretty good. But if you want to support us and help make sure that happens and get even more people onto the show, make sure you share the show with your cool DM friends and make sure they know to support us and make sure we have enough support for the show so that way we can get awesome people on the show. Anyways, to today's show. With all the many books produced by Wizards of the Coast, it can be somewhat difficult knowing which books to read, which to buy, and in what order. So, here is my take on things. As a bonus, I'll also tell you whether to buy the book in print or through D&D Beyond, so digital copy. And obviously, in a perfect world, you'd want them both in the physical format and in the digital format, but my recommendations are assuming that you only buy one, like most people, and like most normal people, I'd say. And first, there is one caveat. If you are never, ever, ever planning on playing using D&D Beyond, or having your players use D&D Beyond, then obviously your buying choice will skew towards the physical format because you would never use the digital format. So just remember that. With that said, here are my book recommendations. Number 1, Player's Handbook. Obviously, every Dungeons & Dragons player should have access to a player's handbook. It's going to teach you the basic rules as well as give you the basic gamut of character options. This is the first book any dungeon master should buy. If you have this book, you definitely never need to worry about making sure someone else has it or depending on others in order to play D&D, aside from the fact that you need others to be players in the world that you create. This is also the first book that you should read because it's going to help you know the rules as well as it's going to help you be able to guide your players through the game. As far as whether you should buy this in physical or digital format, I would say digital format all the way. That'll allow you to search the book for rules as well as give you the opportunity as a DM to have your players use D&D Beyond to make their characters, which for me makes things way easier as a DM because leveling up takes less time and you don't need to worry about players having their character sheet because sometimes they forget those. Everyone always has their phone, so everyone always has access to their character sheet on D&D Beyond. Plus, the digital copy is slightly cheaper. So that's number one. Number two, the Monster Manual. This book is extremely helpful for knowing new and exciting monsters to pitch your players up against. Throwing your players into encounters of the same type of monsters over and over is going to get very boring. You're also going to be very bored as a DM unless you can find really cool baddies to fit into the dastardly plans you make. And honestly, I'm kind of torn between whether you should buy the book digitally or physically. On one hand, I love looking at the pictures and reading the book in a physical format. But on the other hand, having it digitally makes it so much easier to use the D&D Beyond encounter builder because when you make the encounter and you put the monsters in it, you can just click on their stats and they populate and they're right there, and it just makes it super easy. And that's only when you have the digital version of the Monster Manual. So really it depends on what you value, but honestly I think this one might be a both scenario, so having it both in physical copy or digitally. But if you have to pick one, I guess I'd have to say digitally, so go digital. Number 3 is the Dungeon Master's Guide. Every DM should read this manual because there are many topics I've thought about covering on this show that I've held myself back from simply because you can get the same content from the Dungeon Master's Guide. I don't want to ever give you anything that you can just find from buying the actual Dungeons & Dragons books. I love the Dungeon Master's Guide because you'll learn how to really craft great stories and all the little extra nuanced rules that make it more fun and make you seem way smarter as a DM. You also get access to tens of magical items that give you the real zing that you need for your campaign. I don't see the tremendous need to have this book in digital format other than 2 reasons. If you do have it in digital format, it allows you to access all of the items, the magic items, and get those to your players in their character sheets. But that you can actually kind of circumnavigate by adding these items straight to your homebrew collection in D&D Beyond. If you have the Dungeon Master's Guide anyways, you can just add the items and it doesn't take very long. But the second reason you might want it digitally is to search through rules and such, but considering that the rules they're not really strictly how to play the game, they're just kind of secondary and tertiary rules, I don't see the necessity to have it digitally to be able to search. I think having it in a physical format is just fine, and that's actually what I do. So that's what I'd say. But going digital is always great. Number 4, other source books. This is kind of the open-ended other category. Here, basically, you spend your money buying books because you've gotten the previous 3. And the exact books you get is going to depend on what you want to do as a campaign, what kind of campaigns you want to run, as well as what character options / items you're looking for. For example, I was very interested in the Artificer class and in the Warforged race option. So I bought Eberron Rising from the Last War, that source book. And that gave me both of those. Since I wanted those character options, I bought the book digitally so my players could use them too. But this is really where you build out your collection of Dungeons & Dragons source books. It's going to take you years to get all the books. So just get whatever book kind of meets your fancy. And each book is going to add things kind of on the outer edges of your grand collection. But the 3 main core books I would say you have to buy and read are the Player's Handbook, the Monster Manual, and the Dungeon Master's Guide. Obviously, you can, for the Monster Manual and the Dungeon Master's Guide, you can kind of supplant some of those with Volo's Guide and Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, and books like that give you other items or other monsters. But those three, I think, are essential for any dungeon master, and then you kind of expand from there. So there you have it. That's my take on things. And also, let me take this moment to say that I do have no affiliation to D&D Beyond. It's just a great tool. There are many, many other tools out there, but that's the tool that I'm using right now because it's super simple, makes things super convenient. And I want to know, do you have any thoughts on which books to buy, which books to read? Because if you do, I'd love to hear your thoughts, and so send them to me. Let me know your thoughts by sending a direct message on Instagram to @GeronimoLevis. I'd love to hear you out and start up a conversation and maybe get you a shout out on the show. Sorry if this week was kind of disjointed. I am still sick, so hopefully my sick brain did not affect your consuming of this material. Hopefully you still enjoyed it. But remember, keep supporting and sharing the show so we can get you more content and add more people to the show and make it even more fun for you. And that's all just to make sure you can create awesome stories as you play Dungeons and Dragons. But we'll be back next week with another great episode. Until then, let's go ahead and roll initiative. Thank you for listening to today's show. We really appreciate your support and your patronage. We have a few more announcements to go over. First,
did you ever fall in love with the library as a kid? It was a place where you could experience 1,000 stories without having to buy 1,000 books. That is what Monsters.rent can do for your D&D campaign. You can rent and swap out as many quality miniature monsters and creatures for your D&D party as you could ever want, without having to buy them. You can rescue villagers from a kobold camp, or lead your party through the fighting forest, or many more adventures. We're coming out with new bundles all the time. Just sign up for our subscription to get access to your own personal library of minis. Go to monsters.rent to find out more. That's the website. Monsters, with an S, .rent. Get your library pass to a world of minis today.
We also wanted to let you know that today's episode is sponsored by Stardust and Dragons. I'm going to let one of the cast of Stardust and Dragons, Christian Hatcher, and his crew tell you a little bit more about it.
This August, a new adventure podcast is coming to a platform near you, filled with action.
You one of the two of them. We can't keep taking hits like that.
Drama.
Everything that she's been doing, everything she's going to do, finally sets in.
And Stardust.
Help! Help! Someone, please!
Find out more about this epic odyssey at stardustanddragons.com, where adventure awaits in the stars.
That's all the announcements we have today. Again, thank you so much for everything you do for us. You make this show possible. Like we said before, we'll be back next week with another great episode, and until then, let's go ahead and roll initiative.